Hello friends, see you again with Ndrow Movie here. As always, I don't forget to pray for all of you, to always be healthy and happy. For those of you who haven't subscribed to this channel, please subscribe. And don't forget to press the like and share button in this video. In this video I will discuss a movie called The Fly, which was released in 1986. This movie is a science fiction horror genre film. Without further ado, let's start with the storyline of this movie. The movie begins by showing a man named Brandel being interviewed by a woman named Rooney. Brandel is an intelligent scientist who can be said to be on the same level as Albert Einstein. The two of them, who were still chatting, accidentally told a rogue that he had a very big project. But until now it is very secret. But Rooney does not believe in the talk of Brandel. And in the end Rooney was invited to Brandel's laboratory. In this old building the rogue lives alone and only takes care of himself while conducting experiments. In his day, the technology in this laboratory, of course, was very modern. But Rooney was confused about what the thugs in that place really wanted to show. Then Brandel showed two small machines, named Teleport A and Telepod B. The operating system also relied on a computer designed by Brandel himself. Rooney, who was there, did not understand at all what the use of this teleport was. To prove it, Brandel borrowed a stocking belonging to Rooney, which is an inanimate object. After that Brandel put Rooney's stocking into Teleport A, then he operated the computer to run the system properly. Not just anyone can open access to Brandel's computers. Because the computer can only be run by detecting the voice of the brand itself. The great thing is that all processes run automatically in a short time. But Rooney still doesn't understand the concept of the teleport machine. At that time Brandel also showed that Rooney's stocking was already in Teleport B. In other words, Brandel's experiment to teleport was proven. Which no scientist has ever succeeded in creating a perfect teleportation machine. Brandel had secretly built a machine that was considered impossible. Rooney, who did not expect what he had just seen, immediately took the voice recorder. He secretly invited Brandel to chat by picking up all the information he might need. Of course this is an opportunity for Rooney, who works as a journalist. The extraordinary discovery of a teleportation machine would be the most shocking news. But Brandel forbade Rooney to disseminate this information to the public. He admitted only wanted to tell about this personally to Rooney. But it was too late. Rooney still left the laboratory with sound recording evidence. Then he went to his office to give evidence of the sound recording to his boss. The boss of Rooney, whose name is Static, is the former girlfriend of Rooney before. After listening to the voice, the Static didn't believe it and said that Brandel was just a swindler. It wasn't long before the rogue came into the office after he had followed Rooney secretly. Brandel, who knew that the Static was not impressed with his invention, was even grateful. Then Brandel invites Rooney to eat Kiss Burger alone. While enjoying a burger, he begs Rooney not to make news about his discovery. Brandel felt he was not ready to tell the public. Because there are still shortcomings from his invention. One of the reasons was that the teleportation machine was only capable of moving inanimate objects. Even though Brandel's goal was to make the machine so that humans on Earth could change places in a short time. Therefore he asked Rooney to be patient to wait. And better document all the processes carried out by Brandel. He also persuaded Rooney to write a book about this discovery. Which of course can produce more than just making news. Hearing Brandel's suggestion, Rooney immediately agreed and cancelled the news writing process. Patiently, Brandel continued to operate his computer to make it more perfect than before. He also used a monkey that was used as a guinea pig for teleportation experiments of living things. At first there was no apparent error with the transfer process. But Brandl's computer displays an abnormal response, aka an error. He hoped that the monkey could move intact in Teleport B, but unfortunately the monkey that was moved was crushed and died. In this failed experiment, Brandl was stressed and disappointed with his own computer. He felt guilty for killing the monkey. Brandl indirectly admitted that he had to study this more deeply so that his computer could read the genetics of living things. In everyday life, Brandl is arguably a scientist who is not concerned with his appearance. Seen from the contents of the closet, there are only clothes with models that do not differ from one another. Brandl also asked Rooney, what is the relationship between Rooney and Static? Without hesitation, Rooney answered that Static was his ex-girlfriend. After finishing chatting, the two of them finally made a relationship. Brandl was so excited that he didn't realize there was an electronic item stuck in his back. Then he had the idea to use meat as a teleportation experiment. With the aim that he would tell Rooney to distinguish the taste of normal cooked meat from the taste of cooked meat after going through the teleportation process. Rooney, who tried both meats, said that normal cooked meat tastes much better. Which is where the taste of the meat through the teleportation process is more like raw plastic. From Rooney's answer, Brandl concluded that his computer could not read the elemental composition of flesh. So that the computer becomes an error and makes the meat that goes through the teleportation process improperly. Without lingering, the brander immediately tried the computer again with all his might. A few hours later, Rooney left Brandl's laboratory. Unbeknownst to him, there was a Static that was secretly following him. The Static, who wanted to reconnect with Rooney, became jealous after learning that Rooney was staying at Brandl's place. Emotional Static in public also makes Rooney embarrassed. Until he left her. Long story short, the rogue who had finished fixing his computer immediately tried another experiment with the second monkey. The great thing is that the experiment this time proved successful and made the monkey move completely. This proves that Brandl is not an ordinary scientist, but he is more than just a genius. He also celebrated his success by drinking with Rooney, who had finished documenting it. Even Brandl wanted to order expensive food for the two of them. Rooney accidentally saw a file that came from the office where he worked. In the file it says Static name. Who is Rooney's ex-girlfriend? Then Brandl explained that he had found the file with the Static name on it from a door insert in his laboratory. After being opened by Rooney, it turns out that the contents of the file are a magazine about the discovery of teleportation made by Brandl. Seeing that, Rooney immediately rushed off to meet the Static who secretly wrote this news. Rooney was immediately angry at the Static and told him not to interfere. But Static claims that this news already belongs to him and will be disseminated soon. But because he still loves Rooney, Static finally relents and allows Rooney to always give him news. On the other hand, Brandl, who was left alone by Rooney, was getting drunk. Brandl thought that Rooney had met the Static on purpose to reconnect. So jealous, he also invited a monkey to chat. But the monkey was indifferent and busy watching the flies that were pacing. Drunk and hurt, Brandl was even desperate to try teleportation alone. Without realizing, it turned out that there was a fly that flew and entered the teleport. Brandl was not suspicious at all, and he was sure that this tool was working perfectly. Sure enough, Brandl managed to move places safely and intact. Not long after that, Rooney came back to Brandl's laboratory. The rogue who was sleeping was immediately awakened by Rooney. Brandl said that he had teleported alone. Because he was drunk and a little disappointed in Rooney. So jealous, he accused Rooney of having reconnected with Static. At that moment, Rooney explained that he did not love Static, but only loved Brandl. That night they had another romantic relationship and then they fell asleep. When Rooney woke up, he saw Brandl working out. But strangely, Brandl looks so strong that it makes Rooney surprised. In fact, he can do any sport that seems impossible. Brandel also became a hyperactive person and could not stay still. Brandel confessed that he felt like he was reborn after going through the teleportation process. According to him, this is a positive side effect and even beyond Brandel's own expectations. While they were making out, Rooney found hair growing on the wounds on Brandel's body. He also wanted to cut his hair. But the texture is not like normal hair. Brandel, who felt stronger, even told Rooney to try teleportation as well. But Rooney refused and said he didn't want to go into the teleport. Hearing this, Brandel was not happy and said he would find another girl. Then a rogue accidentally came to a bar looking for a girl. Sure enough, there was a woman named Tammy who was watching her boyfriend arm wrestling. Without further ado, Brandel immediately challenged his girlfriend Tammy to arm wrestling. Brandel is also willing to bet $100 if he loses. But if he wins, he will take Tammy back to his house. They both end up arm wrestling. At that time, Tammy's boyfriend, who claimed to be strong, had a hard time defeating Brandel. The bandits who were too strong also released a liquid during the arm wrestling. The man's bones were so strong that they broke in an instant. Without suspicion, Tammy was impressed by Brandel's strength. At that time, Brandel had a romantic relationship with Tammy. After he finished, he also told Tammy to get into the teleport machine. However, Tammy did not want to obey Brandel's orders. An emotional Brandel immediately threw Tammy away. But he had to be blocked by Rooney, who came suddenly. Instantly, Tammy immediately left after seeing Rooney's presence. Day by day, Brandel's face became more and more unkempt and looked very strange. Rooney also admitted it and said that Brandel looks ugly. He also admitted that Brandel had changed from the one he knew before. Then Rooney also told me that he had taken the hair on his body at that time to the hospital. Rooney told the hospital that it was also difficult to identify the hair, which in the end the hospital concluded that it was not part of a human but part of a feather from an insect. Hearing this, Brandel was immediately shocked and could not believe what Rooney said. He even scolded Rooney and kicked him out right then and there. Brandel, who couldn't believe it, immediately looked in the mirror and saw that his face looked really bad. It was also seen that there were some hairs growing on Brandel's face. Strangeness also began to appear in Brandel, which is where his nails start to rot and ooze a strange liquid. From here he just believed and realized that something was wrong with him. Then he rechecked the data from the most recent teleportation. When the data was shown, it was seen that there was a composition of the second creature that entered the teleport machine. Then Brandel did the scanning process when he teleported. Here the surprising facts begin to appear. Parts of the part came into view and the final result showed that the creature was a fly. The bad news is that the fly's presence as the second creature in teleport causes Brandel's genetic fusion with the fly. 4 weeks later, Rooney, who was in the office, got a call from the dealer. Brandel said that he was getting worse day by day. He also asked Rooney to come to his laboratory at that time. Sure enough, the rogue looks more and more terrible and his face is out of shape. Brandel tells Rooney that something went wrong when he teleported alone, where a fly unwittingly entered the teleport machine and confused the computer. Brandel also said that there really shouldn't be two different genetic elements in one teleport. If that happens, it will cause the genetic union of the two elements. As a result, Brandel and the fly became one body. Suddenly Brandel's mouth also secreted a lot of mucus. Worse yet, his ear also suddenly came off. The next day Rooney asked for Static help to help Brandel, who was in trouble. But the Static asked Rooney one thing, which was that he had to record Brandel's physique and show it to the Static. At that moment Rooney came straight to the laboratory and saw Brandel crawling on the roof. An ability that should not be possessed by humans has instead transferred to Brandel. Brandel's behavior also became more and more similar to that of a fly, and his voice also changed. Brandel also told Rooney to record himself while he was eating. The Static who saw the tape couldn't believe what happened to Brandel all of a sudden. Not long after that, Rooney ran into the bathroom crying. Static asked what really happened to Rooney. However, Rooney admitted that he was pregnant with Brandel's child. Of course, this is bad news. Because as we know, Brandel is no longer a human being. This makes Rooney stressed to the point of dreaming. In the dream it shows Rooney who is giving birth to a delinquent child. When his child was born, how surprised he was to see his child's form shaped like a larva. But luckily it was just a dream. In the laboratory, Brandel will conduct an experiment to reduce the percentage level of flies on his body. This experimental process will be successful if there is pure human genetics in the teleport machine. When Brandel asked for data access, his computer system immediately refused because his voice was no longer recognized by the computer. Brandel's condition also worsened when his teeth suddenly fell out. He also kept all kinds of remains of his body in the medicine cabinet. Just then Rooney suddenly came from behind and said that she was pregnant with a rogue child. But the thugs chased him away on the grounds that insects were creatures that could suddenly become violent. In other words, he didn't want Rooney's life to be in danger. Like it or not, Rooney immediately left Brandel right then and there. In a state of fear, Rooney immediately invites Static to abort the womb. Rooney does not want if there is a strange creature that is in his body. Unwittingly, the bandits were eavesdropping from the top of the building. That night, the Static immediately took Rooney to the nearest obstetrician. The doctor who wanted to prepare the equipment also told Rooney to wait in the operating room. When Rooney was alone, Brandel suddenly appeared and immediately took Rooney away just like that. He pleaded with Rooney not to lose his descendants who were Brandel's only legacy. But Rooney still doesn't want to, and he is also afraid to take care of Brandel's baby. Long story short, the Static chasing Brandel arrived in the laboratory. He tries to help Rooney who was kidnapped by thugs. Static came to that place while carrying a shotgun as a form of protection. He also saw an experiment that would be carried out by Brandel by providing 3 teleports at once. But suddenly Brandel jumped from above and directly injured the Static with a corrosive liquid. At that moment the Static hands and feet immediately melted away quickly. The thugs who wanted to kill the Static with a corrosive liquid were eventually stopped by Rooney. Immediately he brought Rooney to enter the teleport machine, with the aim that Brandel will create a new creature consisting of Rooney's body, Brandel's body, and also his own baby's body. The rebellious Rooney actually caused the face of a thug who was fragile to be damaged. In a situation like this, Brandel was already a terrible 100% flyman. Statically quietly stretched out his hand to take the shotgun. Rooney, who had been thrown in by Brandel, would soon become a victim of experimentation. With such a short time, the Static immediately shot Rooney's teleport cable. This confused the computer and Brandel instead merged with his own teleport. Brandel finally surrendered to his condition. He also told Rooney to shoot him right then and there. On the other hand, I who saw Brandel felt pity too. He also accidentally turned into a flyman. With pity and fear, like it or not, Rooney had to shoot Brandel to the end. Which in the end an extraordinary scientist had to die horribly. Where he had to die as a result of the success of his own invention. From this movie, we can conclude, if you are stressed, don't let you take actions that can harm yourself. Thank you very much for stopping by the Ndrow Movie channel. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. See you in the next video.